Hi everyone, Scott here. Hope you're having an awesome day. Sun's still rising behind me, even though it's raining outside. Amazing stuff, technology. Lots to cover today. Lots of possible big movements finally happening in the market. And I'll quickly go over the things I looked at yesterday, or some of them. So let's get stuck into the charts. Let me do a share screen and turn my video off. Let's do it somehow. Okay, let's go. Now, same as before, I'll just put up my daily. Actually, what I'll do, so to make it easier for you, is I'll put up the watermark so you can see which pair I'm looking at. Again, I'm going through the 28 Forex pairs that I'll look at. And this chart analysis, of course, will apply to pretty much any chart. You can look at gold, silver, oil, you can look at stocks. It's all the same kind of skill required to read the charts. Okay, so there we go. So let's go into my watch list. This one. So dollar CAD. This is one I looked at yesterday, and DDP was strongly down. And this is the higher time frames, monthly, weekly, daily. You can see here it's at this major support level, resistance level, bounced off, and now it's trending down, which is what we wanted to see. And this is the kind of trade I put in there as a position I put in there as an example of roughly what I would have done. And unfortunately, the entry happened here, which was 11 p.m. for me. So I was snoring away while the entry occurred. I wasn't actually that interested because there's double bottom here that happened on the 4-hour 50. Remember, the red line is the 1-hour 50, the blue line is the 4-hour 50. So I'd already bounced off the 4-hour 50 twice, even 3 times. If we'd entered here on its first pullback, it would have come down here and rejected straight away. And had you moved your stop to break even, you'd be stopped out for break even. But the second entry was a better one. Got some spring loading here, some accumulation with some decent volume, putting back to the fib 0.5. And finally, this one did break the 4-hour 50, and it went on a bit of a tear. So had you entered that, then you'd be looking at about 2% profit at the moment, I imagine, which is looking very nice. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up also is because should it ever slow down, looks like the dollar is struggling today, then we could get another entry. I'm looking for I've got these pivots on here, I'll just turn those off, the daily pivots. So we're looking for a CBO this time, a 4-hour play, 4-hour 50, so break and retest the 4-hour 50. The 1-hour 50 is catching up, so the entry will be around here somewhere. Is there, Kiwi Dollar, is there a better fib we could use? That one there. Maybe it's a bit better. Depends on when this occurs. If the 1 hour catches up enough, we could possibly use that 4-hour, that fib with this being the run through the 4-hour 50. And that would still give a 13%. That's not right. Okay, so the entry would be about here or about here somewhere on the 4-hour 50, depending on where it happens. And you get a couple of percent out of that one to the daily 20, which is this red line here. Daily 50 is this one further back here. So some good potential there. Is it going to pull back? It's not looking like at the moment, but things can change pretty quick. So that's dollar CAD. That's a nice looking chart for today. Another one we looked at yesterday was Euro USD. We'll go back to the high time frame. So daily, weekly, monthly, and I think my chart's a bit slow updating. Here it comes. So we've got a major support level down here on the daily, which has been bouncing around out for quite a while. And DDP yesterday was to go up. and still the same for today. It looks like it's going to pull back here, at least this trend line and the daily 50, because we have a very strong MACD divergence here. Here we got on the price chart, we've got lower low, lower low. On the MACD, much higher low and a higher low again. So it's implying there's an uptrend coming, or some kind of bounce at least. And had you entered, again, this happened too late for me. This was about the same sort of time, midnight, 11 p.m. So on that, had I entered this one, or had you entered this one, my stop was below this trend line, which is why I wanted to see it live. I didn't want to put an entry order in here in case it bombed through this trend line, took my stop out, and then came flying back again. So I didn't want to enter on an entry order. So I wanted to do a live entry, wait for this bounce to occur, and I could have entered somewhere around here. And you could have done too if you was awake at this time and watching this chart. It is a lower low. It's not a perfect formation, but it's euro dollar, which tends to be a bit weird sometimes. But it did pull back nicely to the 382, give a nice entry here, and you'd now be up 1.5+% on the daily 20. And maybe even taking profits. That could have played out well. As for today, do we have anything on? Not really. Anything that might happen is a pullback to the pivot later. It looks like it's on a tear again. It looks like the US dollar is finally giving up some strength. So it's probably not going to pull back. If it touches R1, I wouldn't be interested in taking this as a dip snatcher for the day, because it's already hit the profit target. And that could have been a reason why you didn't take this trade yesterday as well. It already reached the daily 20, rejected it, and then pulled back. So not the best setup. But if you did take it, you'd be playing out quite nicely. So if we do a pivot entry, we could do that. We've got the daily 20 in the way, so probably not the best idea to do a pip snatcher, because we're going to have some kind of resistance here at the daily 20. And we want 1% to be clear run all the way. So not looking very nice for today on euro dollar. Okay, next one. I have to speed up a little bit because, as you can see, there's a ton of charts to look at. All very similar, or many very similar. So dollar USD, just struggling to keep up. There we go. So we've got this trend line down here. It's broken a couple of times, but otherwise it's a pretty strong trend line. We've got a very strong support level. It's all going off this morning. And it's bouncing quite nicely. It's rejected again yesterday, another low test, kind of to the bottom. And we're looking for an up DDP today. Actually, this is selling up quite nicely now, or it was. It's now gone a little bit too far for my liking. We have these two, this is the hourly chart now, so we have the two big trend lines down here from way back. Finally broken both of those, so I'm now really interested. See, it held pretty strongly, rejected it here, 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 and here. Finally rejected, broke through that one to reject off this trend line. And again there. So a very strong trend line. Finally it's broken through. Now, when is it going to stop its march up there? Again, Aussie US dollar. So the US dollar seems to be the common theme here, is a dollar weakness, which is causing the Aussie dollar pair to go up quite strongly. And the fibs aren't going to line up very nicely. Let's just pull this back down to below here, perhaps. Yeah, the fibs look okay here. This reward is now looking not so good. But we do have the pivot here as well, the daily pivot. So there's a chance, a reasonable chance that this could pull up here, reject, hopefully pull back soon before it's the 4-hour 50. come back through the fib 382, back to test this trend line, and the 1 hour 50 we're catching up about then as well. So in the next 2, 3, 4 hours, perhaps we'll get a pullback and we'll give a nice entry. And then hopefully this trend line here will act as a fair bit of strength to support it, and it will bounce off and then go up to our profit target. So we're only getting 1% up to the 4 hour 50. That's not looking very good. Push it up to the that's the daily 20, which is the red line. And this trend line here going way back seems pretty strong as well, but that's above the daily 20, so that could be a nice profit target for 2.5%. Should it pull back now? Should it give us an entry? So the US dollar looks like a possible, but it may be the US dollar is just too weak at the moment, and none of these are going to give us an entry. Time will tell. Okay, they were my favourite. And they're all dollar, all US dollar pairs, and they're all on a bit of a run at the moment, which is going to spoil our setups a little bit, possibly. We see how they play out. So other ones I've got here on my main list. I'll go through these a little bit faster because these aren't quite as good setups, but nevertheless, opportunity is there. So what do we have here? Waiting for it to update. Okay, so we can get rid of that trend line now. That's not really serving any purpose anymore. So we've got a bounce off, which is actually a new low for Euro Swiss. It's come down to the new all-time lows, even below this massive spike down here on the monthly back in 2014. So it's bounced off that, hit the daily 50, which is this red line, bounced off the daily 20, rejected back up to the 50 almost, and now it's like it's going down. So my GDP for today is down, but we need some confirmation on the lower time frames for a setup. And what do we have here? I'll say, okay, so we've got big trend line here that's broken a while ago, retested on the 1 hour, and that proved a good catalyst to drive the price down. Hit the 4 hour 50, this blue line, and the daily 20, this red line, and bounced around here quite a bit, and then hit this trend line here formed. Finally broke through that last night, and last night for me, yesterday for you, possibly. And that was obviously a pretty strong trend line because and the 4 hour 50 was broken, because once it broke that, it flew down. So what does that give us for today? Well, like I said, I believe DDP is short. We've had this strong trend line here broken, good price action to the short side. The fib doesn't line up very nicely for normal day trading strategies. The CBO this would be the complete breakout, because we've broken the 4 hour 50 and the 1 hour 50. But we do have, because the fib, the 382 is right back here, doesn't line up with our 1 hour 50, 4 hour 50, but we do have the pivots here, the daily pivots. So that could be a good trade on there. We could use that, what we call a pip snatcher or a hyper trade, which is pip snatcher is 1-to-1, a hyper trade is a higher profit target, about 4%, 4-to-1. So this trade here would, so that's why I put the pivot, the entry back there to give 4-to-1. So it's already testing the pivot right now. We've got a complex pullback, A, B, C. There's a good chance it will pull back here to the 1 hour 50, 4 hour 50, spring load, get some momentum and break straight back through this pivot line here. So I'm watching this over the next few hours. Although being Euro Swiss, it's not a great pair for this time of day in the Asia session. Probably not for another 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours. So we'll see how this plays out. If it does pull back here and loads up under decent volume, it could be a nice short trade on. That's a good one to watch. Kiwi Swiss, higher time frame. Again, we've got a major support level. No, we don't. Kiwi Swiss, this is a support level here, but it's not the best. We're getting into kind of new territory down here as well with this pair. But on the lower time frame, we have a strong downtrend. So we look at the higher time frame, we have massive engulfing, bearish engulfing candle yesterday, and gives nice momentum. It bounced off the daily 50 and this trend line, and since then it's been going down. Is it oversold? Not yet. It's getting oversold, but it's not hit the this green line here, which tells you that it's really oversold. So there's still possibly some more downward momentum to go. And this does give us a pip snatcher here, 1-to-1. The 1 hour 50 is a fair way behind. We're catching up. There's a trend line here, 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, and that'll coincide with where the entry is going to be. Pivot is here. So that's possible for a pip snatcher 1-to-1 trade. We'll see how that plays out. Got my alert set just here. If it pulls back past the pivot, for me, it's got to touch the 1 hour 50 before I'm interested, or very close to. And here's the trend line it will need to break to do that. So that's a possible. We'll see how that plays out. Next one, dollar Swiss. This is one we looked at yesterday as a possible entry. Massive bearish pressure. We looked at it yesterday after this candle, and it's looking really nice for a short entry, for a short trade. And as you can see, it played out short, but didn't give us an entry because it never really pulled back. The entry would have been right here somewhere. Never pulled back. Kept on going down. Swiss was getting stronger. The dollar was getting weaker. There was just no stopping it. So today, I was looking at possible CBO. Pull back to the 1 hour 50, 4 hour 50. But it just keeps on marching downwards. So that's not looking like we're going to get much out of that. The possibility of pulling back to the pivot, but again, we've passed the S1 support line there, so they wouldn't really be on. So I think that one's already gone for today. Let's go on to the next one. Kiwi Dollar. Again, we've got a strong support. Very strong. We've got MACD divergence, I presume. Yeah, very large MACD divergence here, here, and here. Getting higher and higher on the MACD lows, but lower and lower on the price action. So that's implying some kind of uptrend or change in trend, or at least a bounce. So we go to the lower time frame, the 1 hour. What do we have here? This long trend line. It's been respected pretty much. It was broken here briefly, and then bearish pressure took it all the way back down again. Got respected there and there. Just poked up above there briefly and back down again. Now we've got a good breakout. Finally above this trend line. So I'm now interested in a long trade. Hopefully, of course, we'll get to see it come back there, but pull back sometime and revisit this trend line perhaps. We'll act as support this time. And with the 1 hour 50 would be around the same kind of place as well. Turn the pivots off now, we don't need those. Yes, so there's a possibility of it pulling back and some kind of trade, long trade happening here. Again, you could target 4 hour 50, which is almost touching, which it probably is touching. And so when IBAC, because we already hit the 4 hour 50, which is our obvious short-term target, price target. But we'll see how that one plays out. That may just keep on going up and give us a CBO later on today. Again, that's USD. So we've got the US dollar weakness. Seems to be pretty strong at the moment. So we'll see how that one goes. I'll make that orange because it starts pulling back now. The trade may be present. Keep an eye on that one. Now I've got lots of blues, which are this colour I use for possible trades, maybe later today, certainly worth keeping an eye on. So let's quickly flick through those. There are a lot of them, but a lot of them are very similar because there are lots of yens, lots of euros, lots of pounds. So Aussie yen. Is it still updating my chart? What's going on? That's it. Okay, so we've got, I thought I had an arrow on here. Where's my arrow gone? Oh, okay. So because we had such a bullish day 2 days ago, followed by a doji, I'm not convinced this is a down DDP. That could just be a pause before it carries on going up. So there's no DDP on there, but the lower time frames will give us much more, I would hope. So we need to find a definite change in proof of a change in trend. And apart from the last candle, it's looking pretty good, or the current candle. So we've got this strong trend line here, which is holding. A break of that will convince me that maybe there's a change in trend. But now we've got a higher high again. That's looking like either the Aussie is getting some strength or the yen is getting some weakness, or maybe both. But it's something worth keeping an eye on, because when that does crack, when that does break down, there could be there's a nice gap between the 1 hour 50 and the 4 hour 50. So we do have possibly a very nice profit in the trade. So we'll keep an eye on that one. My alert is set for when it breaks 1 hour 50 in this trend line. So that's Aussie yen. CAD yen, this will tell us whether it's the Aussie or the yen that's causing that big spike. It looks like it's the Aussie, because CAD yen is pausing here. Now, this is a nicer looking chart, because we have great deceleration over the last 3 days. Really big bullish candle, a medium-sized bullish candle, and then a smaller bullish candle. So that's lovely deceleration on a nice. Do we have a trend line here, a support line, or is it? It's almost at the highs, so there's not really a very strong support line there. But we have a fantastic deceleration. Okay, right. So I'm loving the DDP on this one. I'm loving the down price action. So we've got a low trend line here, which I just put in just in the last few days. It's good to have a trend line that follows the 1 hour 50 closely, because then we have an idea that this trend line is realistic. It's not accelerating away from the 1 hour 50, but it's actually a reasonable kind of pace. So what do we have? We have higher highs. We do have finally a lower low here, but again it went higher again, so we're still pushing up to highs. We've even got a line in here. I'll call it an ABO line. So that's bouncing off there. This candle hasn't closed yet, so we'll give that, hope it closes below next 10 minutes. So that's showing some kind of resistance, this support resistance line here. So we've got a kind of triangle. We'll break out below that, start getting interested, and if it breaks the 1 hour 50, I'll be very interested. That could be a nice little trade current later on. Swiss yen. Again, we've got lovely deceleration on the daily. Smaller candle, quite a big candle, smaller candle. Not quite as obvious. So we'll need some kind of proof on the lower time frames. But we're looking for a short trade when it proves itself. Again, we've got this is a better trend line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 touches. and it breaks through that, we could have a trend change. We need to see a lower low and a lower high, a break of the 1 hour 50, and we could be looking good there. So I'm going to keep an eye on Euro Aussie. So this one we've had a bounce off a strong support, hit the daily 50, bounced off, and then it breaks through the daily 50. Now we're looking to go long. Now, this is the big wave 1. So if this is, if it does follow Elliott wave, this could be a very big wave 3, which is what I've put in here with my fib extensions. So the third wave could well go up to this level here, or even possibly up to 1.618 up here. Now, if that was to happen, this wave 3 may well have 5 waves of its own. A little pullback here to the daily 50, and then up. So it's wave 3 of the wave 3. That makes sense. So we've got a trend line here, which is broken and retested. It's tested the 1 hour 50. So there's no real long trade on here. Possibly could have taken a long trade yesterday as a pip snatcher, pull back to the 1 hour 50. I won't do that, taking too much time. So I'm thinking that maybe what we'll get is now we've had a lower high. We'll get a break through the 1 hour 50, possible short trade down to the 4 hour 50, and then it'll reverse and resume its path long. So it's possible there to get a short trade in before we go long again. So that's what we're looking at there on Euro Aussie. Euro pound. Okay, Euro pound. Similar kind of thing. 1, 2, wave 3 has got 5 waves in there. We've hit this top, this major support resistance level here. Same as these highs here, which is, you can see quite clearly on the monthly, there's lots of action, price action around this level. So maybe we're going to get a little pullback here. We've had a big run up, another run up, very bullish on the MACD, overbought on the RSI. So there's a chance we're going to get some kind of relief, a little short action. On the lower time frame, this is the 1 hour. We've got a trend line here broken and retested. Looks like it's about to retest it again. Again, I'm waiting for some kind of breakdown, and similar to Euro Aussie, pull back to the 4 hour 50, and then go long again. So that might play out. We'll see if that does break down. Euro yen. Similar to the other yen pairs we looked at, we've got lots of bullish action, deceleration, and a very good level, major resistance level here. So we're looking to go short, and apart from the candle right now, we've got a good trend line here, 1, 2, 3 touches, break of that, and we could get some kind of short play there. Oops, wrong one. Okay. So we've got a very strong level down here, and my joint finishes updating. And we're looking for a long trade. Maybe not too far. We'll have to see how it goes, but definitely looks like we're going to get some kind of bullish price action soon. We've had this long trend line here, which was acting as resistance, broke through, acted as a support, broke through, and it's support again. Now it's kind of messing around. We do have a kind of inverse head and shoulders possibly setting up there. And should we get a break above the 1 hour 50, there's a possibility of a long trade there at the 4 hour 50 or to this trend line or higher, depending on your trading style. So that's one to keep an eye on, waiting for a break of that 1 hour 50. That's pound CAD, pound yen. Pound yen, this is the daily, so we've got another lovely bit of bullish price action with great deceleration and a doji yesterday, the low test. So that's a doji yesterday. So that's looking nice, like it's going to be a major support level as well, resistance level. So looking for a short today. And we've got a nice little triangle thing happening here. A little break and pull back below it of this resistance line here, which has been respected apart from this last hourly candle. Again, waiting for a pullback below this trend line and then below the 1 hour 50, and there's a nice gap here down to the 4 hour 50, so that could be a very nice trade. I'll put that into my best. Okay, that's pound yen, euro yen to pound CAD. Next one is Kiwi CAD. Kiwi CAD, what do we have on the daily? Got a strong level here, double bottom, looking good. Double bottom on the weekly as well, obviously. We have a MACD on the weekly, yes we do. Strong MACD on the weekly, MACD divergence. Do we have MACD divergence on the daily? Yes we do. So good chance we're going to get some kind of bullish price action happening here. What do we have then? We have a trend line here. No, not the best of trend lines. This was a news event yesterday, but basically waiting for a break of this 1 hour 50. We have a false break there and a false break there. So we want to have a nice clear break of the 1 hour 50, and there could well be a long trade in here somewhere up to the 4 hour 50. And that could give 1.5% or so. So I want to keep an eye on. I've got my alert just there. So if it breaks above 1 hour 50, I'll keep an eye on it. Kiwi CAD. Kiwi yen. Recurring theme, eh? The yen. So here again, we've got a doji yesterday at a very strong level, as high as this high here. But it's a bit bullish yesterday's candles. We need to have some kind of proof that it's changing, direction. Because if you see from the 1 hour chart here, it's just up, 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 up. So we need to have lower lows, lower highs, and the break is 1 hour 50. So, oops, come on. So keep an eye on that one. The break of this trend line here as well, which is quite a solid trend line. So that's a good one to keep an eye on. Pound Swiss. Swiss has got some strength and it's pushed that down. So possibly going long again because it's so oversold on here. The RSI is oversold. MACD some divergence because the price action is way lower and the MACD is about the same or only slightly lower. So looking for some kind of change in trend, not the catch falling knife. We need to find some proof the trend has changed. Got a nice trend line here on the hourly. So break above that, break above the 1 hour 50. Higher highs and higher lows on the 1 hour, and we might have a trend change there. Pound Swiss, almost there. Pound dollar. This is looking like a nice pausing deceleration here on this support line. That's a major level. I've already checked that going back in time. Oh, maybe because this one here, there's not much there actually, but that big spike on the monthly stopped right where we're stopping here. So that's a good level. All-time lows, I think. So we've got two trend lines in play here on the 1 hour. We had a false breakthrough yesterday, pull back down again, and maybe we're going to get a decent breakthrough now. because of this other trend line, I have some caution here. It may break up here, breaks down here, and then this trend line here may be some kind of resistance. So I'm looking for a break above that. So my alert is set up here. If it breaks the 4-hour 50, you can hopefully there'll be a nice setup here, pull back, and then we can take it long. So that's a wait for 4-hour 50 break on that one. And then the last one we look at is dollar yen, dollar strength. Sorry, dollar weakness and yen getting some strength. So we've got which is a daily, we've got a very nice bull run up here. And lovely deceleration. The last 3 candles are perfect deceleration at a nice level. Is this a nice level or is it just all-time highs? Oh, okay. It's almost the same as the all-time highs back in 98 or something. Way back. Okay, but the beautiful deceleration we'll be seeing on the charts. We've got on the 1 hour, we've got this long trend line here, which we need to be just conscious of that one if it gets close to it. We've got a possible trend line there. There's only 2 points, not much to think about really, but it seems to break through that quite easily. So we're looking for a break below this 1 hour 50 and some kind of pullback to 1 hour 50, give us an entry, and then trading down to this trend line. If you think it's significant, I need to go back and check that, or to the 4 hour 50. So there's some good potential there. I like that one. That should be going up into my best. So there you have it. And my chart finishes. Okay. There you go. I'll stop my share. I hope you found it useful. Hope you found got some good ideas there of the sort of thing we're looking for, what sort of setups we're looking for, and how we can what trades we can take based on those setups. I hope you get some idea of how we look at the trend. The trend changes, and how we're looking at support, resistance, trend lines, all those kind of things, to give you an idea of where the market's going to go next, because we never know, of course, but we can have some kind of idea. And the more things we stack in their favor, the more chance we have of being right, getting the right direction for the trend, for the price action, and then go with some profits, which it's all about. So good. Hope you found it useful. I'll catch up with you tomorrow, Saturday. I won't catch up with you tomorrow. I'll catch up with you next week. Have a great trading day and a great weekend. I'll speak to you soon.